Hey, truth seekers, and welcome to another truth seeking early morning. I want to put out a disclaimer before I start because we have a few idiots out here or troublemaking people that think that I'm talking about everybody, and I'm not. If the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. Disclaimer: I'm not speaking on every stepchild, every step son or daughter. I'm not speaking on the alphabet community. I'm speaking on my own personal experiences. Hopefully, this will help someone. If you have any stepchildren, let's get it started. Surviving my stepson. I'm going to call him T. I'm not going to put his name out there. However, the pictures that you see, those are his pictures. And the woman that you see, that is a direct lookalike of his mother. Now, that is not his mother. That is a woman that is a doppelganger. She looks exactly like his mother. I mean, dead on. They look like twins. That is not his mother, but that lady looks exactly like his mother. I do believe she has some type of social media account. That's where I got her picture from, so I don't think I'll have any problems with that. December 24th, 2023. Let me take y'all back before I get started on all that. I met my stepson shortly after I got with my man. And it was years and years ago. I'm not going to say how many years. It's been a long time, over 10 plus years. So I will say I met him at 15. My dependent was 12 at the time. So when I met him, he seemed nice. He was always dressed very poorly. To my knowledge, his father, my man, told me that him and his mother, they lived in, another state. They lived in another state. They lived in Maryland. I think it was Baltimore. I'm not sure. They were no longer in Michigan, and he was divorced from her. And he showed me the divorce decree because I don't play games like that. I don't mess with married men. I'm not a liar, cheater, or thief. I do not mess with married men or men in relationships with women or men who have living arrangements with their baby mamas. I don't need to do that. I have too much going on for myself. I don't mess with men like that. And I definitely don't dip in no lady pond. I don't mess with women, period. To each his own. If you do, I'm not judging. Like I said, these are my personal experiences. Hopefully this story will help someone because I do not believe in putting out my personal family business. However, this has been sitting on me and I think it needs to be put out there. Excuse me. I think it needs to be put out there for people that need help, that can learn from this. Because I do have a degree in social work and mental health therapy, and I also have a trade. And I usually don't tell people what my degrees are in or what my trade is in. However, it's going to apply to the story, and that's the only reason I'm saying it. So anyway, and I also do things for legalities, legal reasons. I repeat, I do things for legal reasons. So when I met T at the age of 15, he was very poorly dressed. His shoes were ran over. He looked homeless. He looked homeless. And, his father was always, buying him new things. And, I would cook and clean. And I did everything to help T fit into our family. But for some reason, he just, he gave me like a cold shoulder. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't like, this is before his father and I really got bonded. We were in the dating stage. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't accept me right now. So I was cool with that because I know how some stepchildren act and I can deal with that. However, to my knowledge, he left. And I thought he went home back to Maryland with his mother. That's what I was told. And that's what, I didn't ask any questions about that. I have my own dependent, we took care of T when he was here in town, etc., whatever. So I met him again when he was 16. When he was 16, he was starting to show me a bit of an attitude. And at this point, I could tell that he was trying to be a bit of a problem because he wanted his parents back together and he saw the way his father was with my dependent. And he wished his mother and him, he wished that they were in the type of relationship that was similar to the one his father and I had. And I will say this. I did not break up their happy home. I met his father 10 years, was it 8 years? 8 to 10 years after he was already divorced. So I didn't know those people. I didn't even know nothing about their marriage. I was totally new to dating his dad, and he had been divorced for 8 to 10 years before I met him. So I didn't do that. I don't break up happy homes anyway. I'm not a side whore, and I don't play those type of games. Anyway, T did some disturbing things when he was 16. He just, he had a mouth on him. He just was resistant. And I'm like, okay, he's a minor. T apparently went back home to Maryland. T came back 17 after he graduated high school. And so he seemed pleasant. He seemed like he had grown up a little bit. And so I was like, okay, I always treated T with love because I believe that stepchildren should not be treated any less than any other child. I don't like when people mistreat people. I'm not a type of person or the type of person that will mistreat you because of your age, your race, your ethnicity, your religion, anything like that. I don't believe in mistreating people, just like I don't believe in lying, cheating, and stealing. So I live by a somewhat strict moral code, man's law and God's law. So I don't mistreat children. I don't mistreat elderly people. I love animals. I don't mistreat people at all. I don't mistreat people at all. That's why I have a hard problem when total strangers screw with me that don't know me. They don't know me and they screw with me because they don't like what I say. Tune the F off my channel and don't listen. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If it fits, wear it. However, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm just talking about people that's bothering me. I digress. Back to the story. T went back home when he was 17. I only met him 3 times. Brief intervals, never anything long. Didn't really know him. Let's kick it back up to December the 23rd, 2024. My man called me. No, I'm going to take it back one more time. My man had a death in his family, so we went to another state. And this is his mother's side. So I have never met them. Never met a lot of these people. They live far, and we've never really met. I never really met them. And he really didn't deal with them like that anyway. However, we went for the funeral. Everybody's coming up to me asking me, what's going on with T? Have you heard about T? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with T. At this point, T is 26. T, I haven't heard anything about T. I know that his dad was talking to him, throughout the years since he was 15, dealing with him ever since he was a child, all the way up to 26. That's really not my business. He wasn't in our house. He was being taken care of. My man was paying child support. His mother side of the family sent T whatever that he needed whenever it was needed. So, I really didn't have anything to do with that. And so T had a strong relationship with his father and his mother side of the family. So, excuse me, his father's side of the family, not his mother's side, his father's side of the family. So, of course, he was living with his mother and he was dealing with their side of the family because he was with them. So I didn't know what was going on. I said, you all need to ask my man. You need to ask my husband what's going on with the T. I don't know. Now let's kick it up to December 23rd, 2024. My husband called me and was like, I talked to T. And I'm like, okay, well, how is he? He was like, he's going to call you. You all need to talk. And I'm like, okay, what is it about? He said, he'll call you in a minute. T called me. I said, hey, T, how are you? I haven't heard from you in years. You don't call us. You have nothing to do with us. And he was like, well, I talk to my dad, every now and then, which when he calls, he needs money and his father sends it. That's their relationship pretty much. And so he said, Ma, and this is odd to me because he's never called me this. And I'm like, what's going on? He was like, can I call you Ma? And I'm like, sure, if that makes you feel comfortable. And I was just shocked, and a little elated because I'm like, okay, maybe he's grown up. Maybe he has a chip off his shoulder that he had when he was younger. Maybe he realizes that he'll never, his parents will never get back together because his mother did cheat on his father. That's why they got divorced. And so it wasn't his father's fault. It was his mother's fault. And then she packed him up and moved to Maryland. So, and his father stayed in Michigan. And that was way before I knew who they were. About 9 years before I even know who they were. They had been divorced for, I repeat again, they had been divorced for about 9 years. So he was like, just basic old dry questions. How are you? And this and that. And he starts sending me pictures. Like I said, the pictures are his original pictures on my channel that you'll see for my story. And the woman on the picture is a dead doppelganger for his mother. It isn't his mother. However, I repeat, the lady looks just like his mother. That's what we're talking about, okay? So he's like, well, I've been doing pretty bad, and I really need somewhere to stay. And I'm like, because he was like, well, first of all, he said, I want to come visit. And I was like, sure, you can come visit, because throughout the years, I've always told my husband, call your son, and, call your dad, check on everybody, how's T doing? And sometimes you got to be careful what you say, because you can manifest certain things that you don't want to really be bothered with. Okay, so, and I'm like, yeah, you can come visit. He was like, okay, well, when I come visit, I just want to stay for a little while. And I was like, wait a minute. I said, are you trying to move back to Michigan? And he was like, yeah. You're gonna let me stay with you? That would be so nice, Ma. That would be so. And I was like, wait. I said, we really don't have the room here. We don't have the room. He was like, well, that's okay. I'm used to, getting by and doing whatever and to make it happen. And, I don't mind and this and that. And I'm like, I said, no. I said, you can come up here and we'll figure it out. I said, you can come up here and we'll figure out your living arrangements. I said, I don't, want you struggling or anything like that. And of course, his dad has been a very good stepfather to my dependent. I'm talking about excellent, you know, paying, paying a lot of money on my dependent. So I'm not going to sit up and treat what I called at the time my son, not my stepson, my son like that. I'm not going to treat my son like that. So he was like, I plan on coming, Christmas Eve and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you have enough money for a flight? He was like, no, and this and that. I was like, don't worry about anything. We're going to take care of everything. We got you. We got you. He was like, well, I just want to let you know a few things before I come. I don't want to, a shock factor. I worship Kali and I'm a warlock. And I said, wait a minute. We worship Jehovah God in this house. We worship Jesus Christ. I said, so I'm not going to tell you who you can worship. However, there will be no worshiping of no deities in my home, in our home. I'm not playing that. We're not doing that. This is a red flag right here. Not, mind you this, my stepson is 26 years old. He is a grown man. He had 2 roommates where he was living in Maryland, and he slept with both of them, male and female. They were a couple, and they put him out. And he had ran through his mother's whole side of the family to the point they didn't want anything to do with him, not even his own mother. She threw him out too. So now he's back recycling, coming back around, making his rounds on his daddy's side, on his dad. So he started with his father, which and I. So, and I didn't know this. we had no idea about none of this, about none of it. So me being the kind, God-fearing Christian that I am, I said, well, come on, we got you. I said, what do you need? Do you need undies? Do you need socks? I need everything. I don't have anything. I'm like, what? I'm like, you don't have it. How are you living? And that just surprised me. I just could not believe that. I'm like, how are you living? So, he got to crying on the phone. I'm like, look, don't worry about it. Just send me your sizes. I'll buy your boots, new coats. Well, I have a couple coats. I don't need any coats. I splurged. When I say I splurged, because he was coming Christmas Eve and Christmas was the next day, I made sure that I spent money. Not to mention, I made sure his father and T, they both had matching house coats on Christmas Day. T had plenty of gifts, okay? And this is a 26-year-old grown man. Plenty of gifts. Not only did he have plenty of gifts, I bought everything for hygiene. He had everything for hygiene. I bought cologne. I bought deodorant. I bought all kind of stuff. He had undies. He had pajamas. I'm talking about brand new everything. Brand new everything. Any and everything. Razors, towels, and we already have all that stuff. Just to make him happy. Because I'm like, okay, our son's coming home. He's been through some things. We just got to get him here so we can get him up on his feet. Okay. My husband goes to pick T up from the airport. T gets home to our place. T walks through the door, and my dependent immediately gives him a hug. Now, my dependent is not the type, not touchy-feely. Very respectful, but not touchy-feely. So I thought that was really nice because, T looked homeless. Not only did he look homeless, he looked malnourished. Now, T is about 6'2", 6'3". He looked like he was about 90 pounds sopping wet. Now, T is a tall, slender guy. He was always tall and thin. His father is tall and thin. However, T looked really malnourished, like he hadn't ate in months. He looked sick. T looked sick. So when he walked through our front door, he had this stench on him, and he looked dirty. His hair wasn't cut. He had this stench on him that was just horrible. When I say it was horrible, it permeated my whole place to the point where I had to open up the windows and burn candles. Now, this is in December in Michigan. So it's cold outside, and we have the heat on. I mean, it's cold outside. So I had to crack the windows. All of the windows in my place. Now, I got T a blow-up bed. We had to buy certain linen to go on this blow-up bed. He had new pillows. Like I said, he had the works. And I allowed him to go ahead and wear his house coat and pajamas because he had plenty other things for Christmas that I took time out of to go get. Not only that, when we talked over the phone before he got here, he hadn't been to the dentist or the doctor, and he doesn't remember in years. So I made him a dental appointment before he got here for sometime in January, right after Christmas, that we had to pay cash for. I did all of this. Not his father. I did. I took the reins and said, I'll take care of it. Of course, we put our money together. However, I did all the planning. I did what a woman is supposed to do as a partner. Because I didn't want my husband was just so withdrawn with everything that was going on because we had no idea. Stay tuned for part 2.